Welcome to CIC Voices. I'm Tyson Weatherspoon, and I'm here with
Lee Weatherspoon.
And today we're going to be talking about the Project Hail Mary movie. But before we get started, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. My favorite descriptor of myself is that I am Tyson's mom and Miles's mom. I also work at Blue Springs High School. I love my job as a school counselor there. And one of my hobbies is reading, and that is part of the reason I'm here today.
All right. Well, the first question I wanted to ask you is, did you think this was a good movie?
I did think it was a good movie. Science fiction is not my typical jam, but this movie just had a lot of really great themes that I think everyone can appreciate. Mm-hmm. Things like finding courage, even when you didn't choose to be in a difficult situation, but finding the strength within yourself to get through those difficult times. And then, of course, the unique friendships that come through the movie and the book between Rocky and Grace.
Mm-hmm. And what would you think is the weakest aspect of the movie, in your opinion?
I don't know if I can be super critical on that, but I will say that there were certain parts that the movie left out of the book. So in the book, they're on Earth. They attempted to raise the temperature of Earth by a couple of degrees, which was really difficult for these scientists because they were people who were really trying to be environmentally conscious, and they actually set off some nuclear bombs in Alaska that to kind of spur global warming, which they'd been working their whole lives to try to prevent. Mm-hmm. So that was a big part that was left out of the movie that was actually in the book. But there were some parts that were in the book or in the movie that weren't in the book too. So
yeah, and forgive me because I haven't actually read the book, but mm-hmm. I'm assuming the book was really long in length. And the movie was already really, really up there in terms of runtime. It was almost 3 hours for those of you who don't know. But so I definitely feel like there was stuff that they kind of had to leave out just out of necessity.
Yes.
But there was some questions that I felt were left unanswered. Like, I mean, I get the ending was more to open it up for a sequel. But the bodyguard at the beginning, I definitely feel like they should have expanded on his character a little bit because he was really entertaining and really funny.
Carl?
Yeah, I think that was his name. And speaking of entertaining characters, which actor do you think had the best performance in this movie?
Well, Ryan Gosling, of course.
Yeah.
He had like a sweetness to him and a quirkiness to him, but he was also just wicked smart. Mm-hmm. I loved that he was a teacher too.
Yeah.
The character Carl, interestingly, was not in the book at all.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I thought that was a good addition. Mm-hmm. And you mentioned the ending as well. Mm-hmm. In the book, there was no. Remember at the end of the movie how they sent the Beatles back to Earth?
Yeah.
And then I think her name was Strat.
Yes.
Got to watch the video of Grace's character and all that. In the movie, he sent the Beatles back, but we never know if Earth received them. So okay. I thought it was kind of satisfying that actually in the movie we got to see that Earth lived on.
And I know, do you think that this is an above average, like, book to movie? Because I know a lot of the times when something goes from a book to a movie, there's a lot of, like, things missing and a lot of things wrong with it. You think you would consider this above average?
Absolutely. Yeah. And in fact, sometimes when I was reading the book, I got kind of distracted or glazed over because they talk so much about math and physics because they had to describe those things like in such detail for us to understand what was happening. That for someone who's not a big science nerd like myself, that was sometimes difficult to follow. But in the movie, they just obviously showed you how it was happening. So it was a bit more entertaining in that sense.
Yeah, and another really strong aspect that I noticed in this movie was the CGI and the special effects were really, really on point. And a lot of the times, especially with like space movies and like interstellar, like travel movies, a lot of the realism can be lost in like just the special effects being poor. And I really like that they actually put effort into that. What do you think about that?
Yeah, absolutely. And I thought that the characters were so human, even the Rocky character.
Yeah.
And had like a playful aspect to them, and they weren't super technical. So I think that that kind of where some of the science part could have felt a little bit edgy or hard. The characters really brought like a softness to the show, to the movie.
And what do you think the overall theme of the movie? And a follow-up question to that would be, do you think the movie or the theme for the movie and the book were different?
No, I think they were right in the same vein. That was really consistent throughout the book and the movie. And I guess just like I mentioned before, the theme of Grace's character being forced into a situation that he didn't want to be in and that was risking his entire life. But he was still able to persevere and find the courage within himself to save humanity, which might be a little bit dramatic, but that's how it was.
And I also definitely... oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I didn't mean to interrupt, but also just the theme of friendship or unlikely friendships.
That's what I was going to say, yeah.
Cultural differences, that was, I think we can all relate to that.
And do you think that this movie did have a really high budget? What do you think was, because when we went to the theaters, it was packed.
Yes.
What do you think caused this all this hype and all this excitement around this movie? Because I didn't see very many advertisements for it, but it seemed like this thing was sold out.
Yes. I go to the movies pretty frequently, and you're right that I have never seen a theater, well, in the last several years, packed like it was for this movie. I don't know. I guess maybe it just hits on a lot of different people's interest, like maybe kind of the sci-fi nerdish science types, and then also the Ryan Gosling fans, and then also like people looking for a feel-good story. So,
And were you satisfied with the ending to this movie?
Yes, I liked the ending to the movie a little bit better than the book because, like I said, there was like this curiosity in the book, or it kind of left you hanging to know like what happened on Earth since he stayed on Rocky's planet. The book also focused a lot on what kind of food Grace would eat. That was the main problem of him not getting back to Earth. So the movie didn't really go into all those details, I guess. So I wish it would have kind of talked about that because I was curious how they were going to handle it.
And kind of a closing question that I would want to ask you is, do you think this movie's going to get a sequel?
I hope so.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I definitely think there's a lot of potential, especially with the way they left it off at the end with like him like not returning back to Earth, but like he had the option to and stuff like that. Like I definitely feel like they could have a sequel, but do you think it's going to be good?
Yeah, I think so. And I think one part that could be really interesting is how I learned a lot or some about like during time travel, how people age differently.
Oh, yeah. Because I've
so,
seen stuff about that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think Grace's character would age differently on this planet than if he returned to Earth, So I think that could be an interesting story. And in the movie, it seemed like there was kind of a flirtation between Grace.
I noticed that, yeah.
And Strat, I think was her name.
Yeah,
Strat. And the book did not have that at all. So maybe if he returned to Earth, maybe there's a love story there.
That's cute, yeah. Do you think that was a good addition?
I do. I
Yeah.
think it made everybody a little bit more
complex.
likable.
Yeah.
In the book, she was pretty focused, detail-oriented,
like a boss lady type.
Yes. And so I liked like when she sang karaoke in the movie. It kind of gave her a softer edge.
All right, well, it was great having you on.
It was great to be here. Thanks.
CIC Voices, we're out.